The morning sun cast a warm golden glow over Chicago Union Station as hundreds of passengers hurried to catch their trains. Some rushed toward business meetings, others were traveling to visit family, and a few simply wanted to escape the routine of everyday life. Among them was Ethan Carter, a 35-year-old single father who carried an old duffel bag over one shoulder while holding the hand of his 8-year-old daughter, Lily. Life had changed forever 3 years earlier when Ethan lost his wife to cancer. Since then, he had done everything he could to give Lily a happy childhood despite the struggles. He worked long hours as an electrician during the day and accepted weekend repair jobs whenever he could. Money was always tight, but Ethan never allowed Lily to feel that she was growing up without love. After saving for months, he finally managed to buy 2 train tickets from Chicago to New York so Lily could spend a few days with her grandmother during her school vacation. It wasn't a luxury trip. They packed homemade sandwiches, carried refillable water bottles, and brought a small backpack filled with crayons, coloring books, and Lily's favorite stuffed rabbit. As they boarded the train, Lily's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Dad, this train is huge," she whispered. Ethan smiled. "It sure is. Now find our seats before someone else takes them." They settled into 2 window seats in the middle of the coach. Lily immediately pressed her face against the glass, fascinated by the busy platforms outside. A few rows ahead sat Victoria Reynolds, one of America's most successful CEOs. At 42, she had built a billion-dollar technology company that was admired across the country. Newspapers praised her business skills, television channels invited her for interviews, and investors trusted every decision she made. Yet none of those achievements had filled the emptiness in her heart. Her marriage had ended years ago because work always came first. She had no children, very few close friends, and most of her conversations revolved around contracts, profits, and company growth. Traveling by train instead of private jet was unusual for her, but after weeks of non-stop meetings, she wanted a quiet journey where no one would recognize her. She wore a simple navy blue coat and sat silently by the window with a book resting on her lap. Even though the train was full of people, she felt completely alone. Minutes after departure, Lily accidentally dropped her stuffed rabbit into the aisle. The toy rolled forward until it stopped near Victoria's expensive leather shoes. Victoria looked down, picked it up carefully, and noticed the rabbit had been stitched together several times. This must be important to someone, she thought. She walked over and handed it to Lily. "I think this belongs to you." Lily's face lit up. "Thank you so much." "You're welcome," Victoria replied with a small smile. Ethan nodded politely. "Thank you." She would have been heartbroken if she'd lost it. Victoria returned to her seat, but something about the little girl's smile stayed in her mind. A few minutes later, Lily stood up again and walked over. "Excuse me," she asked innocently, "are you traveling all by yourself?" Ethan quickly stood. "Lily, don't bother the lady." Victoria laughed softly. "It's okay." She looked at Lily. "Yes, I am. Don't you get lonely?" The simple question caught Victoria completely off guard. For a moment, she couldn't answer. Finally, she smiled. "Sometimes. I do." Lily nodded seriously. "My dad says talking to people makes lonely days better." Victoria looked at Ethan, who smiled apologetically. "I'm sorry." She has a habit of saying exactly what's on her mind. "No," Victoria replied gently. "I think she's right." For the first time in months, Victoria closed her laptop without checking a single email. Instead, she began talking with Ethan and Lily about ordinary things, favorite foods, school, baseball, road trips, and family traditions. The hours passed surprisingly fast. Neither Ethan nor Victoria realized that this ordinary train ride had just become the beginning of a life-changing friendship that would soon transform both of their lives forever. The train finally rolled into New York City as the evening lights illuminated the skyline. Passengers gathered their bags and slowly made their way toward the exits. Ethan lifted his duffel bag onto his shoulder while Lily hugged her stuffed rabbit tightly. Before leaving, Victoria walked over to them. "It was really nice meeting both of you," she said warmly. Lily smiled. "Will we ever see you again?" Victoria paused for a moment before reaching into her purse. She handed Ethan a simple business card. "If you ever need anything, don't hesitate to call." Ethan looked at the card but didn't pay much attention to the company name. He assumed she was just another business executive. "Thank you," he said politely. The three of them said goodbye, and their paths separated inside the busy station. A week later, Ethan returned to his normal routine. Long workdays, unpaid bills, and endless responsibilities filled every hour of his life. One evening, his phone rang with an unknown number. "Hello, is this Ethan Carter?" "Yes. This is Victoria Reynolds. We met on the train." Ethan smiled in surprise. "Of course. How are you?" "I'm doing well. I have a favor to ask. Would you be willing to come to my office tomorrow?" Curious, Ethan agreed. The next morning, he arrived at one of the tallest office buildings in Manhattan. As he stepped into the lobby, he froze. A giant digital screen displayed the words, "Reynolds Technologies, CEO Victoria Reynolds." His eyes widened. "The woman from the train, she's the CEO?" A receptionist escorted him to the top floor, where Victoria greeted him with the same warm smile she had shown Lily. "I've been thinking about our conversation on the train," she said. "Most people talk to me because of my money or my position. Your daughter talked to me simply because she cared." Ethan smiled. "That's just who she is." Victoria nodded. "And that's exactly why I wanted to help." She explained that her company was opening a new facilities division across several states and needed someone trustworthy to manage maintenance operations. "I checked your work history," she admitted. "Your former employers spoke highly of your honesty and dedication." She slid a folder across the desk. "I'd like to offer you the position." Ethan opened it slowly. The salary was more than double what he currently earned. It included health insurance, paid vacations, retirement benefits, and flexible hours so he could spend more time with Lily. He looked up in disbelief. I don't know what to say." "Just say yes," Victoria replied with a smile. Tears filled Ethan's eyes. "Yes." A few days later, Ethan started his new job. For the first time in years, he no longer worried about paying rent or buying groceries. More importantly, he could finally attend Lily's school events without constantly asking for time off. Victoria also found herself changing. Instead of spending every evening alone in her penthouse, she began making time for real friendships. She often invited Ethan and Lily to company family events, charity programs, and holiday dinners. Lily's laughter brought warmth into a home that had once felt empty. Months later, during the company's annual charity gala, Victoria stood before hundreds of employees and investors. She smiled as Ethan and Lily sat in the front row. "I built a successful company," she said, "but success means very little if you have no one to share your life with. One train ride reminded me that kindness is more valuable than wealth, and genuine human connection is the greatest investment anyone can make." The audience rose to their feet in applause. As they left the event together, Lily reached for both Ethan's hand and Victoria's. The three walked into the New York evening like a family brought together not by fate alone, but by a simple conversation on a train. Sometimes, one unexpected journey doesn't just change your destination, it changes your life forever. The end.